So hello and welcome to the second season of Gerety Talks. My name is Skye Bank and I am the co-founder of the Gerety Awards, the award redefining creative benchmarks by showing the value of female vision in advertising. With this series, we aim to put in the spotlight the industry's true change makers with a refreshing take on what leadership looks like. Today, we welcome Solape Akinpelu, the co-founder and CEO at HerVest. So thank you for joining us, Solape.
Thank you so much, Lucia. It's a pleasure being here and great work you're doing, amazing work you're doing, filling the spot for women, especially women in advertising. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So for over 11 years, Solape has worked on Nigerian's top financial brands before moving to the client side of communications at Meristem, a leading investment firm in Lagos. In her role as the head of corporate and marketing communications, she ran some of the most sophisticated digital and integrated media campaigns in the investment industry. She is also a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing from the UK. She has attended impactful executive programs at prestigious institutions, including the Lagos Business School and INSEAD in France. So you are the CEO of HerVest, whose mission is to improve women's lives through greater access to and use of financial services. Can you tell us about HerVest and how it was created?
Thank you so much again, Lucia. HerVest is an inclusive financial platform for African women, specifically underserved and excluded, African women. And I would say that the story of HerVest is one of insights leading to action. As you rightly said, I was in the financial services for over 11 years. And my last role being marketing head at a topmost investment firm here in Lagos. So across my years, I realized the alarmingly low adoption of women in financial services. And what I was seeing in data, what I was experiencing in the insights, what I was seeing in the insights, I was experiencing in the, on the street. So you go out there, you see women bent over, working, tilling the soil, doing a lot of commercial activities. But then when it comes to wealth creation, preservation, and transfer, women generally lacked these skills. They were very, very financially illiterate compared to men. So I was just tired of that status quo because it's not enough, working, it's not enough being productive. You just got to find a way to compound that to expand your means and to be able to grow that and create wealth from it. So I just wanted to make a difference. And that was why we started HerVest. And so what HerVest does basically is to give women access to savings, impact investments, and credits. So our credits is particularly for smallholder women farmers who in Nigeria make up about 75% of the total agricultural population. But interestingly or shockingly, I would like to say, only get about 10% of the total structured funding into that sector. And this is because of the sociocultural systems, which is very limiting for so many women, especially rural women, leaving them with lesser choice in most cases. So HerVest is basically linking up these women who are at ground zero to opportunities to go back to the farm with trainings, with projects, and of course, connecting them to markets. And we're also giving women who are digitalized opportunity to impact invest in these women. So it's a chain of women helping women to make more money for both sides of the divide.
That sounds great. And do you know how many women you have helped so far? And is there a typical profile? You more or less told us something about that.
Yes. So at the moment, we have over 6,500 women in our community in about a year. And we have two divisions because we serve two, audiences. We serve digitalized women like yourself, like myself, who have some, disposable income, investable income, want to make more of that because the traditional financial investments do not give us enough, actually. And then we have the women who, we call, they are on the demand side. These are the women farmers that I described before. So with our farmer network, we have about 500 of them. And with the investor network, that is the supply side, we have about 6,000 of them. And the reason is that the uptake of women who are digitalized is higher, expectedly, than women with a very large digital divide. And that we also need funds to be dispensed what they're doing. So, and you look at the economy. So it's a reflection of us getting funds to be, dispensed into that space. But overall, we have different journey maps for these users. That is the women who are in agriculture, who are mostly at ground zero, no credit history, no financial history. We are helping them build their credit history, teaching them, layering into trainings in agronomy, in business, layering into financial literacy, and then they can then be included into, financial services, the formal financial services, that way.
Okay. And you're also the Nigerian chapter director of Women in Tech. What is the importance and role of technology in helping HerVest achieve your goals? What type of technologies do you use for your projects?
Awesome. So this is the fourth industrial revolution, and just to answer that directly, we know that big data is really huge, in this revolution. So we're sitting on great data, especially from both sides of the divide. That is women in the interiors, marginalized women, and women who are underserved to. We constantly talk to them, and we know where the pain points are. And so we know better how to serve them intuitively. Also, we are building hybrid systems and low-tech platforms for women on the interiors so that they can easily, for instance, use short codes. They have feature phones, they don't have smartphones. So by themselves, because we don't want to manage poverty, we say we are tired of managing poverty in Africa. We want to raise independent and resilient people and systems. So, with short codes, they can use their feature phones and dial short codes and get access to credit, get access to training by themselves, okay? So we are closely bridging that divide, that financial gap, that wage gap, that economic gap, using all these simpler tech platforms for women in the marginalized areas, while pushing more intuitive products, towards women that are digitalized to an extent and just need to do better up the value chain. Let me also stress that it's very important that women adopt tech too, and that was why, the Office of Women in Tech, which is one of the 30 chapters of the Women in Tech Global Association headquartered in France, is really big for African girls and for women globally, actually. Because like I say, tech needs women and women in tech. Women need tech because we've seen how, tech is, people are transitioning into tech, and tech roles are becoming even more in demand. So we need women in roles that are even more in demand, right, to work them up the ladder, the value chain. And we need tech, and tech needs women as well to help create robust solutions, to help create solutions with diversified inputs. Yeah, so it is one that I like the intersection of, how I'm in between finance, agriculture, technology, and gender parity for the world globally.
You managed to put together many of your passions, I see.
Yes, as long as it's got women advancement in it, you'll find Solape there.
Great, great. And what is the most rewarding thing of your job?
Oh, I would say that is that must be the fact that, two things actually. The fact that first you have, because one of the challenges we've had with representation in technology for women, we don't have enough frontliners. So when young girls look at tech, when they look at some sectors, they just see men and they probably think that it is, there's this conditioning that's probably not for them. Like a young girl cannot aspire for those roles. So for me, it's very gratifying that young girls will see Solape and say, well, if she could do this much, if we could transition from marketing to tech and then leading even in tech, and then, we can do it too. Secondly is the fact that for women that we intervene for, women that are mostly, on ground zero, when they are able to move the first time, we get them some credits. It's like a lease of life that other women are giving them. They go to farm, they're able to farm, they're able to save from that, they take another loan. And the third time, they don't even need you because we've given them adequate training. We've connected them to opportunities. So they're able to independently do it by themselves. And the women that have given them this lease of life have been able to at least make some extra income for themselves while impacting these women. So I think those are very gratifying, and it helps move the needle faster because it's a lot of heavy lifting, but those impacts, the impact part of what we do makes the burden lighter.
Great. And how did your previous experiences working at top financial brands prepared you for your role at HerVest today?
Yeah, like I said before, right? I said insights led to action. So the structures, the systems, the leadership lessons and skills, all of these are coming together to help us build a resilient system that is HerVest, to help us build a thriving startup HerVest, because I see leadership, soft skill gaps in younger entrepreneurs today. So I would say that it helped, and also it helped me see firsthand the huge gap, right, in financial inclusiveness for women. So when I talk about the financial gender gap, it's from a place of experience, it's from a place that I've seen the numbers, right, and I know what the problems are. So it helps us really understand the problem, and that's why we can solve for it brilliantly.
And there is a tweet in the HerVest account that recommends 10 finance books every woman should read to boost financial confidence. I should probably read one of those. Do you think the tips for women in finance are different to those for men? And what would be your top financial advice?
Yes. So I say that the financial system globally is not built for women because it wasn't built by women. Yeah, and so that's why we are building one with a gender-less perspective. So even the workplace, you look at the workplace, usually if you come to this part of the world and you be like, is it really set up for women to integrate back after birth, to look at the many changes that happens in their lives, right? Because the largest driver to the economic gender gap is the pay gap, right? So statistically, women negotiate lower. So you realize you can only save out of what you make, right? It's a percentage of the larger volume. So that's why, and when you look at this part, because of our cultural systems, you have the women, the girls taking more care of elders in the of elderly family members. So you have just different elements, indefinite elements playing out and limiting women, and that's why there's a clear difference in how both genders look at finances, or how the system has set things up for them. So we have the pink tax. I buy a shaving razor, for instance, and then because it's got some silicone, whatever, it's more expensive than the one that my husband just buys, right? And I have to pay like maybe 6 cents higher, or I have to say like 20 cents higher. So these are they are embedded in our systems, and that's why even our buying habits, behaviors, it requires a lot. It requires that gender perspective, and so those books are pretty well recommended. For books, I think I'll recommend greatly The Moment of Lift, right, by Melinda Gates. I think that every woman should read that book. It's powerful.
Okay. And in your previous role at Meristem and in your career, you have run some of the most sophisticated digital and integrated media campaigns in the investment industry. How do you lead and encourage your teams to get the best out of them? How do you encourage their creativity?
Yeah, I think it's quite simple. If you are able to get a connection to the vision, it's easier to drive everybody working towards that vision. You just have to you have to have a tunnel view of that vision and help team members get there too. I keep telling people, if you are at a role for the paycheck, I mean, that is very limiting, because that means you have just a 30-day cycle, right? So, or a 30-day vision, right? And so the pay comes, and then you just renew your vision until another payday comes, It has to be bigger than that. And so connecting team members to the vision, to what we are solving for, to how it helps the world, to how it impacts the world, has really, really helped us in, building strongly and solving a huge problem.
Okay. And last question I'm very curious about. Your bio says you are a financial feminist. What does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's simple, it just simply means that I believe strongly in the equality of genders, and I believe strongly in the equality of our economic and financial participation, right? Because I'm a woman doesn't mean I've got to earn lesser. Because I'm a woman doesn't mean you have to look at me and say, oh, after all, in the African setting, the man is the provider. You don't, when you want to lay off based on the fact that, oh, these are the, lower performing people, and don't say more women should go because after all, they have a man taking care of them. So it's just basically saying that, the world, the society has long enough limited women or cut off based on some assumptions that are not technically true. When you see a human, when you see me evaluate a woman based on competency, based on character, based on capacity, and don't look at a woman and you evaluate based on the fact that, oh, you don't need a lot of money, all you need is to buy nice weaves and lipstick. No, right? I think the man needs money to buy a house and then buy a Ferrari, or so basically it's just saying that as a financial feminist, I am proposing and pushing for a gender equal world in finances, in economy, and across sectors.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for telling us about HerVest, and I hope everything goes great. Thank you so much
Thank you
for your
so much,
time.
Lucia. Thank you. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Thank you for doing this. Yeah.